again, and the program is Flipside. But we're talking about education today, so it's not about flooding. We've told you at some point about all the road issues, and we even went further to tell you how to keep your children safe during the rain. So if you know you missed any of those editions of Flipside, just go to YouTube and help yourself. Get the videos on YouTube, watch it, and be informed. But today we're talking about mass failure being recorded in some of our external examinations, especially WAEC. So WAEC examination or external examination and students' performance is what we're talking about on the show today. Recently, WAEC released the June-July results. You know, WAEC now has, for January, we have the June, we also have for November. And we scored less than 70%. It takes 70% for you to have a pass, an excellent, an A, and we had less than that. So why are all of these things happening continuously? It's not like this is the first time it's happened. Several years now, we've not exceeded 55% in performance in our WAEC examinations. And then we'll also talk about the primary 6 exams and how it's performed in Edo State, using this recent one that was conducted as a case study. I'm Daisy Obaisabu. It's quite alarming and sad with the way we're going, if you ask me, but this is not about my personal opinion. I have a guest in the house. I have Dr. Godwin Igara in the house. The last time he was on the show, he was not a doctor, but he is right now. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
You look the parts. You look the old PhD there. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, now talking about these WAEC issues, I'm just wondering, first things first, why do you think that we keep recording less than 70%? Last year we had about 40, this year we had about 49.9, let's just say 50%. Last year, 2017, we had about 59%. This year, so we dropped. The year before that, we also had 52%, and the year before that, which was 2015, we had 38%. Sad. 2014 was even worse, 31% and thereabouts. So why is it that we cannot just hit the 70% margin and even exceed it?
Well, I can say that that could be attributed to a lot of factors. Those percentages of success or performance percentage statistics that we have, I could say in my own rating, they are even assisted performance. Because by the time you say an average Nigerian candidate that wrote a WAEC or a NECO exam, by way of average, you say average performance is 55. You now look at the upper data in terms of the performance, maybe 70, then the lowest, maybe like 35 and all that. They are all not actual representation of the intelligence and performance of the Nigerian student. Because to me, some of these exam bodies are doing something like image building. Maybe one exam body will say, let them not overfail, so that they'll have confidence in the fact that it's worthwhile to enroll for their own exam. The other exam body, so there's a level of beef up in one way or the other. Then another thing is that there is also this issue of, apart from beef up, apart from the sympathy and the control, there's a control, a systemic control in the exam bodies to make sure that the failure rate is not too bad. Then also there is this intervention machinery at the level of the exam centers where these exams are holding. So these interventions, or which we call exam machineries, they are also their own factor that help to modulate the students' performance. So if you look at it from the angle of the conditions at the center, which in a way are their express exam malpractice or assisted forms of assistance during the exam, added to the systemic moderation that is happening in the exam bodies, you will come to agree with me that the performance that we are having, they are not even the actual performance of the candidates. If we withdraw these two factors, you will see that the performance will drop more than we are having today. Even with this assisted performance, it is not still enough, considering the global standard. If you look at global standard, what a secondary school person should know and do, the type of exam a secondary school person should know, to write and pass successfully in global consideration is far higher than what our level is right here. So at the end of the day, this performance we are having today is low. When you now bring it up to global standard and compare it, you are going to see that it's going to be far, not encouraging. So the performance we have today, that we are not able to hit like 70 and above, it's a pathetic situation, and it calls for immediate response from stakeholders, angles, the government, the parents, the teachers, the school, and overhaul of the entire system. Because even with this level of comparatively lower standard and assistance or sympathy from the exam bodies, assistance at the exam centers, we are not eating like 70 and above, 80, 85. It means that our generation of Nigerians at that level of exams or education needs intervention. And this intervention should come from appropriate quarters like government, the school management, the parents, and the society generally.
Okay. Now, talking about assistance, malpractices, every year it's no news why it must have certain percentage of results that are withheld because these people were in a center where there was malpractices, or the individual students were caught in the act with a form of malpractice in play, and so their results are withheld. Now, what's shocking is the number of malpractices recorded keeps increasing yearly, and yet the results aren't improving. So we've even heard that malpractice has gone beyond you get someone to the hall, picks the questions, go answer the OBJ, then brings it, or theory, brings it to the class. Now you can even, there are special sites where you can even get the answers to the questions. So why is that with the malpractice increasing daily, students are not still performing optimally?
Good. Yeah, students may not perform like this recent one. I think the performance was a little bit encouraging. I think it was 70% on the average that had 5 credits and 5 credits at a pass. So it was a little bit encouraging because up to 70% had it. Now, one of the reasons why the performance will not shoot to like 80, irrespective of the assistance at the levels of the exam centers, it may just simply be that the person feeding you with the answers may not even be as sound as it expected. For example, a set of answers were to be given to students by way of the exam questions may not leak, because I think the exam body should have passed that age now where exam questions will leak. It may not leak. But you now look at the scenario where exam questions did not leak. Now the students are writing the exam right now. The first time anybody see the question is when the question papers were opened. Now, a set of persons that want to organize the malpractice may be in form of, okay, let's quickly see the question, quickly answer it, and all that, and supply the students. That scenario. The person answering it, how sound is the person? The feeder may not have been well fed. The person trying to provide the questions may have had defaulted education, where it's not even sound enough to provide appropriate answer. So the help or the validity of the answers to be given will depend on the person giving the answers. So the person giving the answer, which schools did he pass through? How grounded is he in that subject area? So that will affect the soundness, the appropriateness of the answers that will be given. So that is one factor where, if you like, help the student from now to tomorrow. If the answer is coming from somebody who is not well grounded, the student may not hit a surprising percentage of performance. That's on the one hand. Then why the performance may not go very high is also coming from the point of the fact that there are some schools in this country, they are not involved in that kind of malpractice. So if you now look at the performance the exam bodies will talk about, it's a mixture of the assisted and the unassisted. Centers where exam malpractice are taking place and centers where exam malpractice has not taken place. So where the exam malpractice may be trying to boost the performance fictitiously, the real centers where students will have to use their capability to write the exam may bring the performance down. So when you harmonize everything, you now see that the performance becomes a little bit lower than it would have been if all centers in the country had been involved in a form of exam malpractice. So that's it.
Okay, now, still based on WAEC, we know we still have several external exams to talk about, but still on WAEC, we this year, they started a new style. We have 3 exams, basically. We have a new one for January, February. For private students, we have the secondary school leaving sets. Those were just coming out from secondary schools, June, July. We also have GCE for November, December. They've created more exams, and yet people keep saying WAEC deliberately fails students. And now with this introduction of a new exam, timetable, exam date, it means they'll sell more forms. The more students who fail, the more money they make. So what would you respond to that assumption that WAEC deliberately fails students?
Well, it's an assumption and coming from some person's experiences. The WAEC has a reputation over the years, and I think they also want to preserve that reputation. Of course, they have a competitor already, like NECO exams and all that. Even NAPTEC is there. There are some schools that accept NAPTEC result and all that. So we have 2 national competitors, and they are West African based in the West African sub-region. I don't think that they would definitely want to face students in fairness to them, because over the years, when you yourself, you know that those days when students read, you read your book, you give them the way they want it, you know that you got your result well. So these days, you didn't know anybody in government, you didn't know anything called special center. You just read, you burn the midnight candles and all that, and you read, and you got whatever you wanted. There were days where scholars in secondary schools made parallel A's and all that. Why did WAEC not deliberately fail them? You know, there are some performances or input by a student that are undeniable. So I think you know, but I feel WAEC can deliberately also fail some students coming from some suspected centers. By the time some reports go to that exam body, and they want to be true to type that they don't aid and abet malpractice, they have reports, they may not be able to fully substantiate it, but they already see that center or that zone or that state as this is a zone where comes people who are seeking special intervention for exam. They can decide to beam a torchlight on that center or the script from that center and scrutinize very well, which is good anyway. It's a control measure. So by the time they take a decision and they withhold the result of that center, you wouldn't blame them. They have their moral justification to do that. Also, by the time they also take the decision and decide to be more strict, by the time a given answer, for maybe question 5 of maybe an agreed subject, for example, question 5 is, the answers to question 5 is the same for all candidates, like 90% the same. 90% define agric or define animal husbandry. It's the same answer for everybody from that place. Could everybody just have, would it be possible that they read the same textbook or they were taught by the same teacher? You know that something has happened. If I decide to fail that a subject for the whole of that candidate, I think they will have a moral justification to do, because it's an evidence. There may not be an extra evidence or a human witness or anything, report against that center. But the script is telling that everything is the same. Can everybody reason the same way at the particular point in time? It's an indication that there was a malpractice. So they can decide to do that on that ground.
Now, last year there was an interview with the Guardian newspaper where the head of National Office of WAEC, Charles Igorodo, said this. I wrote it down so that I would say what he said as summarized as I can. And he claimed that the society, amongst other factors, are the reasons for the poor performance of students, and especially in the regional exams. He also said that the values of our societies are distorted, that the Nigerian child is a victim of its environment. Yes. And that is the reason why we will keep having challenges in our results. We are blaming WAEC. A lot of people are blaming them. Maybe they are not doing enough to curb malpractices. They're not bringing out better questions, maybe new questions, or using better materials. But WAEC is blaming the society. Do you agree with them?
Yes, I partly agree with them, because the performance of the present-day Nigerian child is greatly influenced and if not, if I may say, negatively influenced, in the sense that the pressure on the Nigerian child to have a result and get into school is very high.
Yeah.
The pressure is not with the aim of let this child be grounded from primary education. All he or she needs to know in primary education. The internalization of knowledge at the primary level. Oh, let the focus be that this child is well groomed for primary education. Oh, let's get to secondary education. This child is well groomed. He or she knows what he ought to know. Primarily, that is the focus. But at this point, there's a paradigm shift from internalized knowledge, knowledge that grooms a child, knowledge that educates a child, and have a child to be aware of his or her environment, to be an educated person. It has shifted from there to where we are looking at paper. Your English is not bad, John. Your English is bad, John. You can't even use the right tenses. But John, you have A in English. Well, it's okay. So the parents or the society wants to see, where is your WAEC results? Where is your BSc? What did you make? So there's a shift from standard knowledge and education and what the educated person reflects to the paper the educated person carries. So that it happens that the parents can even organize and aid and sponsor the malpractice for the child to benefit from. So, and the child reads between the lines, okay, what my father wants is not whether I know it, it's what I just have a paper. So, okay, this is they are bringing exam malpractice. I wanted to operate with my moral standard, but this is what my father liked. If the child forgets about his or her moral standard, that even if parents taught him or her at home. Now, daddy says, put moral standard aside now. What I'll be teaching you is for something else. This exam, this is the new way it should go. So the child complies with the sponsored exam malpractice, and the child uses it and makes parallel A's or B's or C's. So what I will say, the parental pressure, because the father has read from the society that I will be sad in this area if I cannot celebrate that my child makes his WAEC. I'll be sad after 2 years of leaving school if I will not call my neighborhood or my family member and say, oh, my child has gained admission to Mercy. I'll be sad. The society will rate me lowly, in a low way. Therefore, let me do this thing. So societal pressure that have been taken by parents pass on over the child's life. The child becomes a victim. What the boss, the exam body's boss said is purely correct. But that's not all that is to it. The school where the child attends or where the candidates attend is also part of the issue, because some of these schools are set up to make money. By the time the school does not have high success rate in their certificate exams, in their external exams, next time a number of students will not come there to have enrollment. And when there's no enrollment, school profits will reduce. So this profit-making aspect of education in Nigeria is one problem that is spoiling the standard. Every school today they will take money from anywhere and invest into their facility so that it can be attractive. Besides that, they put up structure that destroy morality to the extent that the social aspect of the school, the preparation of the children for exam, if the child was well prepared for exam, like well, standard mentoring and nurturing to take part in an exam and write the exam very well without assistance, if that is the preaching from primary school to secondary school, you say that the malpractice will not be fanciful. But the issue now is that there's a pretense, there's hypocrisy somewhere. The school claims to have good moral standard. They advertise it on television. Come to a school where your child will be well nurtured with moral standard and all that. But when it comes to SS1, SS2, SS3, preparing them for exam and making them to write the exam, the school will shift from their standard. They become pretend. They will begin to show pretense. You want to claim that you train students with good moral standard. When it comes to exam, you introduce them to exam malpractice. Is that the way to go? So because all these things are based on the fact that these schools want to make profits. Then you now enter again into the government. What is the thought of government regarding student upbringing, regarding facilities in school, regarding proper training Are there no schools in this Benin where only one teacher will be handling like 5 subjects? Is that the way to go? When one teacher handles 5 subjects for a child in one class, in another class the same thing, the teacher is bored, the teacher is tired, he cannot even offer his best. They want to expect that child to do well and have 80% in WAEC exam. It's not so. So for us to have a rejection, for us to have a kind of improvement, standard way of doing things, we have to overhaul the system, because from society to the school, of course the school is located in society, then the profit-making concept in education in Nigeria, then come to the parents, come to the government. Everything put together, we need an overhaul.
Okay, in case you just joined us, you're watching the program Flipside, and we're looking at external exams and students' performance. At least so far so good, I've learned something. This present generation that relies so much in malpractices, the people who are going to graduate at this time with a result gotten through malpractice are eventually going to become teachers someday, and they will be the ones supplying malpractice answers for the children of the next generation. Yeah. So just imagine what they are going to be writing. If we are recording 50% performance now, I'm so afraid to imagine what performance we'll be recording in another 30 years from now if we don't do something to check all of these problems. We're not done, we just started. WAEC has been what we're talking about. We have more. So I have Godwin Ihara in the house, Dr. Godwin in the house, talking on this education matter. Now, we've talked about WAEC and the fact that it seems like it's hard for students to get 60%, generally 5 credits, maths and English, 60%, yeah, without assistance. Why is it that NECO just released theirs, and the headlines all through this week has been the fact that students' performance had a boost? It was so good. Parents are happy, students are happy, everybody seems to be happy right now. So why the sudden paradigm shift from WAEC, sadness, and now NECO jubilation?
Okay, anyway, NECO is a different example altogether, and they are not as old as WAEC. It's good and standard, and we are proud of it. For students who had written WAEC before and have attempted WAEC before, and they now use that standard to face NECO. If we have a large number of students that did that last WAEC and they didn't get it so right, and they now did NECO this time, at the same time, JAM exam was not too long ago. So some students that wrote this NECO, they wrote WAEC before, some of them also wrote JAM. So you see these 2 standards, older than WAEC. Yeah. By the time they have attempted at these 2, and they now use that same strength or exposure to attempt NECO, you should be sure that something will, it will rub up. You know, so that's one aspect. Then again, some students have just decided that, hey, it's this NECO, my hope is in NECO and nothing else. So they just prepare for NECO fully, and you know, question banking system operates in such a way that a set of questions has been put in the bank. You just go in, draw out some, and so there are a lot of past questions around. Then the involvement of students in, you know, lecture houses, you know, recently, you know, though they're also for profit making, but again, it keeps students on their feet so that they can always be at the place of learning and all that. So like a remedial program to remedy the deficiency they have had in their schools. So that may also be a factor also. So that's one thing. I think I congratulate the students, the parents for this new development.
Okay, let's leave secondary school for a while and run down to the primary school. Edo State just did their primary 6 exam, and so many issues have been arising from that examination. One, some centers had a flawless exam, but several others had shortage of question papers. Hence, students had to pair and share questions like as much as 3 students to a question paper. Now, the problem we all had was the fact that the exam was shifted twice before it eventually was written. Is there any side effects for a child who's been at home, because the primary 6 usually go home earlier than every other student in primary school, prepare for their exams, come from the house to write the exams, then continue their very long holiday before they begin to wear the secondary school uniform. Is there any side effect to the fact that the exams, you've been told your exam is today, you're ready, then it's next week, and then it's another month? Is there any side effect to that? One. Then secondly, how would you even, do we have the capacity to handle the primary 6 exams, considering the number of students who now write the exams in Edo State. Now, several private schools are not accredited, and we're hearing issues of primary schools being vandalized daily, chairs are missing, and when it's time for primary 6 exams, several schools are going to come together to write exams in one school, in the other school, all government schools, and I don't know, do we even have the capacity to handle malpractice-free primary 6 exam to start with?
Well, I feel that in the first consideration, whether the shift of the exam could affect the students,
maybe psychologically.
Yes, of course, it will affect, because these are young, they are kids, they are still kids at that level, they are children, some adolescents preparing for an exam, a national exam. It's one of the first time they are encountering something in their life that is national, that is controlled by government. There should not be any level of failure. There should not be any level of instability or uncertainty. Because are we trying to train them to face life, that life is full of uncertainty at that level? What exam is supposed to be today, suddenly it's another day, suddenly it's another day. It will affect their mindset. It will affect their psychology. It will affect their perception of the nation. It will affect their impression about government. It will also affect the fact that their parents would have made effort to prepare them properly with respect to maybe bring a teacher around, run through the curriculum with them. Now their parents gave time to read, and now the exam has been shifted. At the point of their writing exam, their parents may not be available, or whoever is coaching them may not be available anymore. It will all have a number of effects on them. I think that this kind of development should not occur in this country, because these are kids that are encountering something of that nature for the first time. It will give them a wrong impression about the country, and if they internalize that, they keep that, okay, this kind of things are allowed in my country. When they become president, commissioner tomorrow, they say, okay, we can do it anyhow, we can shift it 15 times. It doesn't matter, in my days they did it. We are setting very bad precedents. That's on the one hand. Then the other question has to do with capacity to handle the exam. The primary 6 exam is not a sudden exam. The schools, the government, state primary education board should have a calendar, a timetable, a schedule for it. And in this schedule, okay, the exam is going to take place 4 months time, or 5 months time, or 6 months time. The relevant agencies or stakeholders should start planning towards it. There should be feasibility study with respect to what the prospective number of students writing this exam. What's our budget for materials? What's our budget for space? What's our budget for security? These things should be well planned. It should be part of the state or national plan. It should be part of the budget provision. There's nothing that should not make you to now begin to have once 3 students using one question. Is that an exam? That's not an exam. That is already a deformed system. That's already that is an improperly planned situation where you are at that level. What does it cost to produce a question paper? How voluminous are the questions? That to the extent that it will take so much space that we cannot prepare a number of questions for the number of students that are writing the exam. Okay, are we trying to tell that the country is so broke, or the state is so broke, the local government is so broke that we cannot? It's an aberration. It's an aberration. It's a departure from expectation, and it should never reoccur in this country again. Primary 6 living certificate exam should be well taken care of, to the point that it should be seen as the standard for all other exams, because these kids are young. We are trying to give them perfect example. We are trying to create an impression that they should carry into the future, and it's not expensive to do that.
Okay, now still talking about the primary 6 exam, it might be shocking for a lot of people, but you need to know that right now in Edo State, it's not like that in every other state, but in Edo State, the exams that were written 3 years ago, their results just came out this year. So the way primary 6 exam is done is you write the exam. If you fail maybe maths or English language, you go for receipts. The receipt comes maybe before you even get into secondary school, the moment you step into junior secondary school. So the people who are writing receipts right now are already in GSS 3. Is that, how does that work?
It does not work, because somebody wants to write a receipt exam, is in GSS 3.
Preparing for junior Y.
Preparing for junior Y, he now carries that knowledge to write the primary 6 exam. Are you testing for primary, for GSS3 exam or testing for primary 6 exam. By the time the person blast and give you marking scheme, you say, oh, he has passed. That exam for primary 6 is supposed to be a test of knowledge at the level of primary 6. So that you know whether the primary education has been well impacted into this child. You know whether this child could represent what the national policy of primary education says by way of delivery, by way of knowledge, by way of awareness, by way of content. By the time the content the child is given is an essay, a GSS3 content for a primary 6 exam, it's terrible.
Okay, now,
terrible.
Looking at the private schools, we have a lot of them in Edo State right now. Like every street has a private school. And then also looking at the government's own secondary schools. For a science student preparing for an external examination, which of these two would you advise parents to put their children? The government-owned secondary school or the private-owned secondary school?
Well, what I want to say is a personal opinion. It's not a policy, or it's not what I expect people to agree with. But I just want to say, in respect to, if I may, take a preference with respect to which school should a child, for example, a child doing science subject, which school should the child attend? Is this government secondary school or a private secondary school? I would say that, from my observation, it's subject to verification and it's subject to dismissal. You may dismiss the opinion. My opinion is that the government schools, as per secondary school, they have qualified and experienced teachers. So when you talk about the standard of teaching, if that government school teacher really devotes, finds good conditions, is no hold in salary, is not complaining, has not been paid for 3, 4, 5 months, he has a teaching classroom, he has a good, it has a set of good facility to train the child in sciences. That qualified and experienced teacher in secondary school, in government secondary school, will impact more on the lives of the student. But on the other hand, the private school may have spent some money to equip a lab and keep it functional. Laboratory equipment may be available and they may be functional and may be in constant use because of the concept of competition, commercial competition. So more students will come to that school. That school that has those things will also have good monitoring system to monitor the teacher whether they're actually teaching. The teacher may not be as experienced as the one in government school, but they may be forced to be more committed and they may be given more facilities to teach. So you can see the two divide now. Yeah. So those in private school, we have teachers always coming to teach them, committed, while they also have functional laboratory equipment that will be updated from time to time. But the teacher coming to teach may not be as experienced as the one in government school, because the government will actually want to take an experienced teacher, a bachelor's degree holder, for example, maybe an NC teacher, while some private school, if you do your research, I'm not castigating any private school, go and do your research properly. Let them bring the genuine qualifications of their teachers. You may see that very few may have BSc. But of course, with the rate of joblessness in Nigeria, some private school may have BSc teachers to recruit and underpay because there's no job. So these are my own opinion. Government schools will have experienced teacher, qualified teacher, but by the time there's one political issue or the other, they are not paid. By the time there's one thing or the other, instead of teachers to be teaching comfortably and peacefully in school, they are doing biometric, they are rescreening them. Teachers that will have been employed for 30 years, you are saying they should come and check whether they are staff. They will do that for 6 months. These teachers will not have time to teach. So the government school have a lot of problems, and these problems come from leadership and politics. But for private school, there's a level of commitment, and they may harvest from the population of Nigerians who are educated, that they're on the street, they don't have job, they may enter classroom to teach and all that. So that's my opinion in that regard. So you can
choose by yourself.
You can choose by yourself. So I wouldn't advise you what to choose.
Okay, the last question for you before we go. There's been this introduction of teachers writing exams to check how up to date they are. Do you think that introduction that government brought at some point, though it met a lot of protests, should it stand?
Teachers write an exam to check whether
they are up to date.
Up to date in their
intellectual capacity,
intellectual content.
Yeah.
Write exam to check whether they're up to date. The aim of the exam, is it that they want to just check whether the teacher's nose is onion and all that? If you want to screen a teacher, you screen the teacher at the point of employment. Do standard interview process and check the content and qualification of the teacher. So that, for example, I could say in the school I finished from, University of Ibadan, when you want to employ a lecturer, I can observe, in an interview, the lecturer will come, they will give the lecturer a topic, and they will teach. It's a recent development. You have a panel of observers, lecturers and professors. You will teach, deliver the content that will be given to you. They will say, okay, this is how well this person can deliver. So it's a direct stuff. It's not by paper qualification only. So that you can do a standard interview process for the teacher you want to employ. But by the time you now set up exams for teachers, at times they may be embarrassed and all that. I don't know. But if the teachers are worth their salt, they should be able to answer the questions also. But however, that's not the best way, I think, to standardize the teaching staff of any school or to upgrade them. You can develop for them in-service training, upgrading training, trainings that will upgrade and all that will expose them to newer things, that will make them even repeat what they have already known before in a new version. The training that can upgrade them in new area, update them in the new things that are in their field. Not all teachers get updated per year. So you can put them into a course that will upgrade and update them. So by that upgrade and updating, you are able to know that these teachers are they are ready to deliver what they claim they can deliver. But putting them through a process of exam, don't forget the principle of exam is that you have an exam to write. But to be fair to the person being examined, there should be a curriculum. There should be a coursework, a course material that the person will read so that he can face that exam. By the time you don't give anybody any direction, any curriculum, any form of guideline on what is expected, you just come like I am now, you just go and ask me one question in physics. I may fail it. Why? But I passed it when I was doing physics. I may have forgotten about that. By the time you do it such a way without proper guideline, without curriculum, without reference points, you make a professor or a teacher in school to write an exam. He may just simply fail it, and you say, oh, you don't know what you are doing. That's not the best way. That's my impression.
All right, thank you so much, Godwin, for being Dr. Godwin. How can I forget you, Dr. Godwin, for being on the show today?
Thank you.
All right, at this point, we have to go. It's been fantastic. We could take all day talking about the decay in our education system. But I want to say that Nigeria has to get to a level where we do not encourage mediocrity. We have to get to a level where we put education as top on our list. We should follow the world standard where about 23% of your budget should be channeled to education. Human capacity development, that was what Bill Gates said we should focus on. And teachers are part of those human capacity that we're talking about. I'm Daisy Baisagon. I've had a swell time here today, and I'm hoping that from next year we will begin to see results and positive changes in our education. I don't want to come back here talking about another mass failure or a sudden increase in our exams. I want to talk about the fact that there's been a step up. We have CCTV cameras in exam centers. I want to talk about the fact that we come into the examination hall and everywhere is composed. The classrooms are not vandalized. The environment is conducive. I want to hear that students are not oversaturated with too much bookwork, but they have time to rest, read, and prepare adequately for examinations. And definitely, I don't talk about the fact that exams were shifted over and over and over again. Please let it be the last time we have such conversations on national TV. All right, thank you so much. Bye.